guys, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today, Director of Development, Kristian Harloff.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Collider Movie Talk. Very excited today. A lot of big stories, and we're going to break them down.
Also here, Jon Schnepp.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? You know, when you're getting massage and somebody adjusts your underwear, don't freak out. That's just what happens.
You know, but if you do freak out, it's understandable.
It totally is totally understandable because it's a foreign person. Like you're supposed to just massage me. Don't touch my underwear.
Don't touch my underwear.
That there.
Also here, Mark Ellis.
But the issue was I was at a happy hour at a steakhouse.
Right.
I wasn't in a massage
enough.
parlor. Somebody just walked up and started touching me, and I didn't like it.
Look, it's like somebody trying to slip you sushi, all right? You're just going to take it.
I can tolerate sushi. We'll work on the massage.
Well, that got weird real fast. Mark, before we get on to some of these topics, you got some things to talk about.
We're going to massage this into our show, and we could not be happier about our contest that's ongoing to win Comic-Con badges. Yes, you and a friend can win your Comic-Con badges for this summer in San Diego, July 21st through the 24th. Airfare, hotel, the whole shebang, and we'll give you guys $250 in spending money to use however you choose, whatever parts of the body you want to pay somebody else to touch. That is your money.
Don't
to
touch
do
my
it
underwear.
as you please. The description in this vid is where you want to go for all the details on how to enter the contest, or you can simply hit us up at collider.com at any time. Hopefully we'll see y'all at Comic-Con this summer.
I like when you slip into the y'all. It comes in every once in a while, but he did it there. I like
I'm
that.
from Virginia, so
like
it will happen.
It worked. All right, what are we talking about today, Ash?
It's official. Darth Vader will return to Rogue One, a Star Wars story. In the latest piece of marketing material, Entertainment Weekly's newest cover featuring the Star Wars spin-off confirms the rumors and speculation that the movie will feature the return of the infamous and iconic Star Wars villain. Entertainment Weekly was granted exclusive access behind the scenes at the latest Lucasfilm feature, which promises to include a look at Imperial weaponry, information on Jyn Erso's parentage, along with more info on the team tasked with recovering the Death Star plans. The issue also promises to give more insight into the other villains in the film beyond Vader, along with new reactions to the film's reshoots from insiders. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, comes to theaters this December 16th. Kristian, thoughts on the EW cover confirming Vader in Rogue One?
I mean, we've talked about this many times on Movie Talk. We've talked about it on Jedi Council many times. As we got closer to the release of Rogue One, we kind of knew that they had to start marketing with Vader. They did a complete breakdown of all these characters here, but everyone's talking about Vader because the confirmation, we all kind of knew it at this point because there's been so many leaks. There's leaked pictures of it. There's maybe some inside leaks that they wanted to let people know that he's in it, but this is the official word that he's going to be back, and it makes sense. He kind of has to be at this time. You can't do this movie about right before Episode 4 starts and not have Vader in it. It's like, wait a minute, where the hell is he then if all this stuff's going on? What I really liked about it is when they talked about Ben Mendelsohn's character, director Orson Krennic. And they also talked about something on, I think, Good Day Today, whatever the hell that show is. And in the morning, they did this video about Vader and what he's going to be doing, how he's looking over Krennic's shoulder the whole time as Krennic's trying to really appease the Emperor. It was the first time we heard the Emperor's name as well. So the fact that Vader will be a presence, even if he's not on screen, I think is a great thing. And we'll talk about the rest of the characters in a little bit here because to me, that was the most fascinating stuff. And there was one particular character that they talked about in this Entertainment Weekly breakdown that I went, wait, what? I posted on my Instagram. I said, yeah, great, Vader's in it. We knew that. Awesome. But who the hell is this guy now? But Mark, before we do that, you hear Vader's in it. Duh.
It's a no duh, but it's not the kind of duh I wanted to get. The duh I wanted to get was to see Darth Vader officially confirmed in Rogue One for the very first time in a trailer. I just wanted to hear the audience gasp and shock and clap and stand up and go crazy because they see Darth Vader, and that's how you announce that he's in the movie. So this is a little bit of a buzzkill to me because I know there's a lot of people out there that are still like, oh wait, Rogue One, so it's not Episode 8, it's something else that comes out this Christmas. When they hear Darth Vader's going to be in it, that's when they're going to connect the dots. So I would have liked that to have happened on the big screen first. I understand that we do live in a world where a lot of news leaks, and so whether it was all the character descriptions and details that leaked a few weeks ago, or it's just that Rogue One wants to quell all of the talk about, oh, there's reshoots and there's panic on Rogue One. Here's a nice fluffy Entertainment Weekly cover story to let you guys know that all is well with everything Rogue One. So I get why they did it. I still am looking forward to a new trailer that will showcase at least a little bit of a tease to see that classic villain who, as you said, when it comes to Orson Krennic, he is the employee of Darth Vader. Ben Mendelsohn is working under Darth Vader. He's not exactly Bill Lumbergh as a boss. Like, this is one of the most intimidating presences ever to have on screen, and that's the guy that's paying you every 2 weeks. That's got to be a nerve-wracking situation for Orson, you know?
Schnepp, before we get into the other characters here, Vader, are you more towards marked, or you wish you would have seen it like in the trailer? Or are you okay with the confirmation now because you're still going to be pretty excited once the trailer comes out and you see him?
Yeah, like the teaser trailer was perfect. It was a teaser. It got me excited about the possibilities of what Rogue One's going to be. The actual trailer, I bet your bottom dollar you're going to see Darth Vader. They're going to give a big reveal, and we're going to get to scream out loud in the theater. We're going to freak out because Darth Vader is the best supervillain ever. And to see his return, and now that we heard the mention of the Emperor, I would love to hear the Emperor's voice come back.
Right.
Even just as a voiceover to get Ian McDiarmid, because he's been in for all 6 of, well, I guess he wasn't in A New Hope. So he's been mentioned in all of them. So I would love to see like him, even if it's just a voiceover, be in Rogue One. But I'm super happy that Darth Vader's in it.
Yeah. Okay. So these other characters, like we mentioned with Ben Mendelsohn's character, I love how cleaned up, because a lot of Ben Mendelsohn's characters are always kind of grimy looking, dirty. Like you see him in Bloodline, sweaty.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
Sweaty. He's got a cigarette in his mouth. He looks
dirty,
clean cut. You never seen this version of Ben Mendelsohn before, and to see him kind of working with the Empire and knowing the descriptions and anything that I've read in the book about the Empire too, is that every single person is more about their own self-interest and trying to move up the ladder, and that's certainly what they seem to be hinting at here. What they're trying to do, impress the Emperor, got Vader on your back, but the politics of the Empire, I think, is gonna come into play. Is what I want to see. So I like that. We've gotten the confirmation about from Mads Mikkelsen that he is indeed Jyn Erso's father. That was cool to see. The one that stood out to me, obviously, was Forrest Whitaker. Because this morning they said, well, who is this person? It was question marks. They said if hardcore fans are going to know who he is.
They said completists. Star Wars completists, right, who digest everything Star Wars, are going to recognize the name of Forrest Whitaker's character.
Yes, and I think so. It was actually revealed as we were doing this right now who he is. So Schnepp's not going to know who this person is. I don't think
from Crimson Empire number 76.
No, and I don't think Ellis gonna know. So Saw Gerrera is who.
I was close.
Saw Gerrera, who
it's not Gerrera. It's Gerrera.
I believe it's Gerrera, but Gerrera. Well, he was a human male rebel who was active during the Clone Wars with his sister Stella. Stella was one of the leaders of the Onderon rebels and helped lead the resistance movement to victory over the Confederacy of Independent Systems on Onderon. He later led a rebel cell on Onderon in the resistance movement against the Empire. More than 20 years after the fall of the Empire, some citizens of the New Republic considered this cell's tactics to have been terrorist in nature. Makes sense.
Oh, he's like a Jack Bauer, where he needs to get information, but he does it, and sometimes his means aren't always the most politically correct to do that. It also sounds like he has a lot to do with Alderaan. So will we see that planet play a role in Rogue One? Is that going to be one of the locations that we're hanging out at? My guess would be yes.
It makes a lot of sense when you read the description, and I like that they're not getting into because some people think, was it going to be Mace Windu? Was it going to be, maybe a Calrissian? This still, it completes. It kind of connects into the universe. So a lot of breakdowns. You can go over Entertainment Weekly, check out all of those, and we'll be doing even more in-depth coverage on Jedi Council this Thursday. All right, Ashley, what's next?
Yesterday, the official Twitter account for the Power Rangers reboot announced that Bryan Cranston had joined the cast of the movie as the floating head leader Zordon, a casting that brings Cranston's career full circle as he originally voiced villains in the original series. Cranston joins the already cast Ludi Lin as the Black Ranger Zach, Naomi Scott as the Pink Ranger Kimberly, RJ Seiler as the Blue Ranger Billy, Becky G as the Yellow Ranger Trini, and Dacre Montgomery as the Red Ranger Jason, along with Elizabeth Banks as the villain Rita Repulsa. The Power Rangers is directed by Dean Israelite and sports the tagline "Together We Are More." The film is scheduled for release on March 24, 2017. Schnepp, are you excited that Bryan Cranston will be playing Zordon in the Power Rangers movie?
You know, when you list off all those Power Rangers, I just want to drink like a giant daiquiri, like a rainbow flavored concoction. This makes me just want like to have a weird, little umbrella and maybe watch the Power Rangers. I don't know. Zordon, yeah, I love Zordon. Bring him on.
I'm the one who floats.
Yeah.
Where's my blue crystals?
Yeah. Zordon. Yeah. Awesome.
You're really selling me on that.
Yeah,
huh?
I can't wait. Really excited.
I'm actually pretty excited about this. I'll tell you. I mean, we've made no mistakes that we are not the biggest Power Rangers fans, but we also know that there are a lot of Power Rangers sweaties out there ready for this movie to come out. But I like that he's returning. He's done many. He did early in his career. He did many of the voices in Power Rangers. Very cool for him to come back. Doesn't just kind of, I'm too big for that now. I'm not going to do Power Rangers again. That's really awesome that he would come back to the franchise that he kind of got work for as a struggling actor, and to return in this bigger movie. I think it's really cool that they went for him. I think it's even cooler that he said yes. So this is really exciting, I think, for Power Rangers fans.
Sure, well, it's easy to tread lightly when you're nothing but a floating head. And to see Bryan Cranston, like you said, Kristian, the career comes full circle, and I like it. Do I care about this movie? Not really, but I do like that Bryan Cranston is coming back. It's going to be a fun thing for him to do. Seems like a project that people are starting to get a little excited about, particularly when you check out the teaser poster that was just released this morning. Do we have that teaser poster? Dim the lights, cue the music. Oh, look at that thing. That is a cool looking teaser poster. That more than anything else, hearing Bryan Cranston's fine, Elizabeth Banks is fine. Seeing this teaser poster, it looks like their marketing is going in the right direction. It's very early. This could be Fantastic Four. This could be kitschy fun, to which I'm not privy to, but I do like that teaser poster a whole hell of a lot.
Schnepp? You excited about the poster?
Teaser poster is just really exciting.
That's it. That's all you got.
That's all I got.
All right. Really. Thanks for showing up. What's next?
FN2187, better known as John Boyega, has joined Kathryn Bigelow and Mark Bowles' Zero Dark 30 follow-up centering on the 1967 Detroit riots. Details about the project are limited, though it's known to be a crime drama set against the backdrop of Detroit's devastating riots that took place over 5 summer days in 1967. Although no studio is yet attached, producers are targeting a release in 2017, the 50th anniversary of the riots. Boyega's role in the film is unknown. Boyega was recently cast in Stephen S. DeKnight's Pacific Rim sequel, playing the son of Idris Elba's character from the original film. He'll next be seen in Star Wars Episode 8 next December 15, 2017. Mark, what do you think about John Boyega joining Kathryn Bigelow's next movie about the Detroit riots?
I love the maneuver because, yes, John Boyega is going to be a guy we're going to see in Star Wars for a while. He's going to have that big blockbuster project on his resume, and seeing him do something like this, particularly when you pair him with a director as powerful and as great of a storyteller as Kathryn Bigelow is. You saw what she was able to do with stuff like The Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30, the Detroit riots is the story. When you factor in an actor of the caliber and a rising talent on the international scene like what John Boyega is, this seems like a perfect marriage. When I saw this yesterday, I was thrilled. I can't wait to see this.
I agree with you 100%. This is how you build a long-lasting career. This is how it was cool. Riley and I were talking about this yesterday. When we heard that he was doing Pacific Rim 2, we're like, that's cool. But it's another franchise. Is that the career path that he's going to take? Is just more big blockbuster movies? Because he's got a lot of there's just a lot of charisma to him. There's like even talking to the guy, you just come alive just talking to him. He's one of these dudes you want to see do more because he is a great talent, and to work with someone like Kathryn Bigelow and to see what she's going to be able to get out of him now in a obviously more serious role, something a lot more powerful. I like to see where his career is going to go. To see, I think this guy eventually is going to be in awards talks. Now, I don't know if this is going to be this year, next year, or 10 years from now, but he's that kind of actor, and he really just takes himself into a role. Because I'll tell you because I never even worried about the accent thing when people were talking about, is he going to pull that accent off of Finn? Because I saw what he did in 24. He's in it for that much. He's in it for that much in the beginning of that 24, that movie that they released. And I was like, oh, that's the kid that's going to be in Star Wars. And it was unrecognizable because the accent was there, and you didn't even notice. And obviously, not just doing an accent. I mean, just doing an accent doesn't mean you're going to be an amazing actor, but it shows the kind of commitment that he had for a small role that nailed it. Then Star Wars nails it. So I have no doubt he's going to nail this and just become a force to be, no pun intended, to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I mean, I think, even if you draw from his first appearance in Attack the Block, this might have more similarities with this Detroit Riots. And I'm really happy that Kathryn Bigelow's doing this film. She's an incredible director, all the way from Strange Days, followed her career all the way through winning an Oscar. I mean, she's a fantastic director. I'm very excited to see what this team is going to do, and as they announce more and more people with the film, and that it's coming out next year. That's what's great about, like these historical dramas. It doesn't take 3-4 years to make. You can just rock it out. So we get to see it.
Schnepp, she did do a movie before Strange Days. It was a little feature called Point Break. So maybe have some respect for the greatest movie Kathryn Bigelow's ever done.
Underrated.
I'm sorry, Movie Master.
It was great.
I didn't mention that one.
That's true. Okay, now before we move on to buy or sell, Wendy Lee is monitoring you guys in the chat room, making sure you behave, and getting some great comments from you guys. Wendy, what are they doing in there?
All right, well, let's talk about the EW cover confirming Vader in Rogue One and other characters as well. While the chat is excited to see Vader in Rogue One, they're kind of saying duh for this confirmation. L.U.C. Johnson says, this is not a surprise to me due to Rogue One being in between episode 3 and 4. And Juan Carlos says, Vader is one of the most recognizable characters in movie history, so this makes a lot of sense. Haha. Bryan Cranston playing Zordon in Power Rangers. The chat likes Bryan Cranston. Chris Robinson says, this Power Ranger reboot is getting more and more intriguing by the day. And Hemno says, I'll buy it when I see a trailer. Until then, sell. It's interesting to see him returning, but it doesn't make me excited for the movie, just keeping low expectations. And finally, for the John Boyega story, the chat is into this, and Jonathan Caro says, I buy the news of John Boyega joining Kathryn Bigelow's movie. She's a great director. And Big Dev 66 says, John Boyega has been awesome in everything. Attack the Block was great, and it will be nice to see him step out and do other stuff than Star Wars.
All right. Thank you, Wendy. We'll check back with you in just a little bit. Now it's time for buy or sell. Ashley will read some more topics in the world of movie news, and myself, Ellis, and Schnepp will either buy or sell it. Ashley, what are we buying or selling today?
The first trailer for Jack Reacher Never Go Back has been released by Paramount Pictures. The follow-up to the original Jack Reacher finds Tom Cruise's character discovering that the woman chosen to take over his role as head of the MP, played by Cobie Smulders, has been arrested for espionage. Jack Reacher, being Jack Reacher, smells something fishy, and the two subsequently find themselves on the run from the law. The film is directed by Edward Zwick, taking the reins over from Christopher McQuarrie, and is written by Marshall Herskovitz along with Zwick. It also stars Aldous Hodge, Holt McCallany, and Robert Knepper. Jack Reacher Never Go Back opens in theaters on October 21st. Kristian, buy or sell the first trailer for Jack Reacher Never Go Back?
Now, I'm on record saying that I didn't love the first Jack Reacher. There are parts of it I thought were done really well. Some of it, some people like it. I thought the Three Stooges bath scene just ruined it for me. There were some cool things, like you said. Werner Herzog was really good as the villain. But
it was a good car chase.
It was, yeah, there was some good stuff into it, but overall I was pretty let down by it. That being said, I'm going to buy this trailer pretty big. I was excited for it. It seemed like exactly what I wanted from the first one. A more vicious Ethan Hunt is really what it was, and I like that he's always doing these investigations, trying to kind of clear someone's name. This time it's Cobie Smulders, and he just shows up. He'll break your arm in your house if you don't help him out. He's got that kind of Bourne identity thing to him, Jason Bourne. But there's more to him because that's what he was. He was part of the police, the military police, and that's what each tale, and that's what people liked about the books. Each tale, he's gonna break the rules. He's gonna break your face, and I like the opening, the way that they kind of set it up with the cop. I like those. That's a total Tom Cruise moment. It was like in about 15 seconds or whatever, a minute and a half from now, phone's gonna ring, and you're gonna be in these handcuffs. And the second he says that, that's exactly what's gonna happen. But you're still waiting for it to happen, and so is the stupid cop. So I really loved the trailer. I thought it was great. Schnepp?
Yeah, I love the trailer too. I like that you said that because, yeah, it's those expectations that we've come to love with Tom Cruise and these action films. And with Jack Reacher, I loved the first Jack Reacher, so I'm very happy to see a sequel with this more brutal character, a more brutal Ethan Hunt, that is. Not Ethan Hawke, the actor. But yeah, so I mean, I'm bummed out that Werner can't be a part of this sequel, but you know what? I'm just as excited to see him knock a bunch of elbows into the heads. And it's this one, it seems like the action has been ratcheted up. It seems like there's a lot more action, and in the trailer they've cut it in such a way that it's very satisfying. So I can't wait to see the film.
Things I love include Coors Light, baby carrots, and Schnepp's shirt today. Things I did not love include Jack Reacher. I was very let down by that movie because I wanted to see Tom Cruise be the action star that I know he can be, that I've seen not only in Mission Impossible movies, but in other fare as well. And I just didn't like it. But I love this trailer. It's a huge buy for me. You get to see Tom Cruise. And as we did a trailer reaction right before we came here, it was me and Perry Nemiroff. Perry made the great point that whereas with Ethan Hunt, you see him do a lot of huge scaling all over the world. He's hanging off the tallest building in the world. He's on the side of an airplane. Here, this guy's a lot more close quarters combat style. He's just going to do more Steven Seagal, kind of like throw his elbow in weird places and break your nose. So I like that it's different than Ethan Hunt, but it also has no less of an impact when the audience sees Tom Cruise for the first time in this trailer, because they just see a bunch of dudes laying in the street. Then we see Tom Cruise, and a lot of people are going to see this trailer before they see like Independence Day or the Jason Bourne movie and think, oh, sweet, Mission Impossible. And then they're going to say, your name's Mr. Reacher. They're going, it's Jack Reacher. But still looks cool. Looks like a fun action movie. I hope you don't let me down again, Mr. Reacher.
All right, what's next?
Collider's own C. Frosty Weintraub visited the set of Justice League last week and learned a little bit about one of the villains in the movie. Zack Snyder and the film's producers confirmed that Steppenwolf is indeed one of the main villains, with producer Deborah Snyder noting that a contract with the actor playing him has yet to be closed. The movie will revolve around everyone trying to get a hold of key pieces of technology, that of the mother boxes. Deborah Snyder also confirmed there will be a prologue in the film that will attempt to get audiences acquainted with mother box technology, teasing that 3 boxes of particular importance were left in the hands of the Amazonians, the Atlanteans, and mankind. Of these mother boxes, Snyder teased the connection to Batman's vision in Batman vs. Superman, saying, obviously, with the mother boxes and the hints from the other movie, we are dealing with apocalyptic technology and villains, and we kind of have some more visions. We're always tweaking things and everything. Also found in the extensive coverage on Collider.com, Willem Dafoe's character has been revealed to be Volko, the science advisor of Atlantis, and an Aquaman supporting character from the comics. Justice League opens in theaters on November 17, 2017. Schnepp, Biosel's Steppenwolf, and the mother box technology in Justice League.
Yeah, I buy this, and it's a fun day when we've really come to this like golden age of superheroes where I can actually talk about mother boxes, and all of you people who don't read comics are finally going to understand how cool this Jack Kirby New God stuff really is. Ping, ping, ding, ding, whatever you want to say. Mother boxes are here, and there's 3 of them, and they're the MacGuffin of the Justice League film. Definitely tune into Collider Heroes. We're going to have Frosty on the show today, where we're going to talk extensively about his set visit. We're going to squeeze him of all the information, everything that he saw, and all the concept art. But just talking about mother boxes, and that's basically how you can travel via a boom tube back and forth between our world, Earth, and then the post-apocalyptic New Gods Genesis and Apocalypse, which is where Darkseid is, and that's where Steppenwolf is from. So parademons are from there. So it really is opening up this like kind of cosmic universe to DC in the Justice League. So that's why I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, hearing you and talking about it yesterday and today gets me excited about it. Although Mother Box does seem like something like TBS would blank out a curse, like instead of mother, they put Mother Box.
Mother Boxer.
Mother Boxers. But I think that for me, this sounds really cool. I want to see how they're going to do it. I'm not going to say it makes me nervous, but I'm wondering if it's going to be a lot of information for people to take in, or they're going to just set it up really well that they, it's kind of similar, I guess, to the Infinity Stones. However they're going to do it, where they say this is.
Well, they said in the article that the Justice League is going to open with like this kind of like short, not a tutorial, but like a history. Not even
That's
like
cool.
a lesson,
like Lord of the Rings type thing?
Yeah, where Zeus, and they're going to show like one mother box goes to Atlantis, one box goes to the Amazonians, the other box goes to Earth.
Yeah.
Like it lands on somewhere for mankind.
Yeah, see, I like that. I'm definitely that premise alone. I'm going to buy it. I'm not going to pretend that I know the comic line, but it sounds really cool. And if they do it that way, like setting it up in the beginning and give us kind of that prologue that they did in Fellowship of the Ring, yeah, I like the sound of it.
Yeah, I'm certainly going to buy it with the contingency that I hope that they are able to give us this backstory in a tight fashion to where we can have this great adventure, because it sounds awesome that we have to go find this mother box. We have to take care of the mother box because we can't let it fall into the wrong hands. We need to assemble the Justice League in order to acquire this mother box to defend it from all the bad people out there like Lex Luthor or even more nefarious forces that would want to use it for their own ill-gotten schemes.
There's 3 of them.
There's 3 of them, so we got to protect all 3 of them. Love that. What makes me nervous is that the storytelling has to lend itself to letting people understand it, and I don't want this to drag through the whole movie. I know it's going to be a theme, but please give us a rudimentary take on what these mother boxes are, what they can do, what their powers are, and let us all be in on it so we don't all have to study and do homework before we go into the movie. That would be the goal of it for me, who has a very, very tiny understanding of what the mother boxes are going in.
All right, what's next?
According to a report from Variety, Jim Carrey is returning to horror, uniting with one of the biggest names in the genre, Eli Roth. Carrey will team up with Roth for Aleister Arcane, a movie adaptation of the horror comic by Steve Niles. Carrey will executive produce and star in the movie, which is about a group of children who befriend an old man who's been ruined and shunned by their parents. The man dies, but not before laying a curse on the town that only the kids have the power to break. The comic, published in 2004, saw this old man as Alistair Green, who moonlights as a late-night horror TV host called Aleister Arcane in Jackson, Oklahoma. It's the town that forces him off the air, leading to his revenge. Roth will direct the movie for Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment. Mark Bayer saw Jim Carrey teaming up with Eli Roth and Aleister Arcane.
I sold Eli Roth directing a movie yesterday, and today I'm going to buy one because I do love this premise. While I am not yet totally sold on Eli Roth being the director, it does seem like it's more in his wheelhouse, and the fact that it has Jim Carrey stepping out of his comfort zone and challenging himself in a role like this. I love that idea. Jim Carrey, it's no secret, one of my favorite actors of all time. I love watching him take chances because unlike a guy like, say, a Bruce Willis who mails it in all the time, Jim Carrey, whatever you want to say about the guy, commits to each and every role he does. He immerses himself in whatever character he's playing. So if you have story that's this rich and this dark and twisted, I think it's a perfect role for Jim Carrey, and I hope that him and Eli Roth have a great creative relationship making this movie, because I'm buying this.
I'm tentatively buying it. I was going to sell it pretty hard yesterday because what was the movie that Jim Carrey did?
Number
Hard? 23, and it's like, I don't know. Maybe just kind of grasping at straws to try to get something, like changing genres, which is admirable to try new things. But I was just like, I just don't know if it's going to work. But then you hear the premise of this. It kind of sounds a little bit like Nightmare on Elm Street in a way. But then you have the fact that he's playing like this TV host who you could see him. You're right. When he always commits, and he can get. We know that he can pull off the vengeful, and he can get the bitter and the angry. He can do these things. So to be challenged, I think, is a great thing for Jim Carrey. I just wonder how he and Eli Roth are going to collaborate. So I'm gonna buy it by the slightest mark.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it just slightly too. I love Jim Carrey, but the chance to overact when he's like subdued and pulled back, I like, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. There's several films, a Truman Show, where he's really shines through as an incredible actor. But given that chance to go overboard, if the director is not able to, tie in to the energy of the character with him and kind of ride him through the whole movie and be like, let's try that, but not so big this time. That's my fear, and I'm not 100% sure. I think Eli Roth is a great horror director. I haven't seen any films from him dramatically that show me that he can actually rein in a character actor and get the performance from him or her that you would actually need. So I'm a little unsure about it, but I think he's super talented, so I'm going to buy this and hope for the best.
And that's where I hope Eli Roth's ability in front of the camera can help him with working with Jim Carrey, because you're right. I'd rather see Jim Carrey have most of that stuff behind his eyes as opposed to being the Riddler, from Batman Forever. I think that he can pull that off. I think that's why him and Eli Roth have to work together on this, but I really have high hopes for this thing now, because I didn't love the way Death to Smoochie was pulled off. That was another comedian who was... Like that movie? I need to see it. I think I watched it, and then it's one of those things that becomes a cult favorite. So I will give Death to Smoochie another shot, but initially I just didn't really get what it was going going for, or maybe I did and I just didn't care about
It's
it.
such a black comedy that that's
Yeah.
the thing. It's like if you come in expecting it to be one kind of thing, it'll disappoint you. But if you go in just like with no expectations, you'll love
There
it.
Yeah.
weren't enough people slipping on banana peels. There weren't enough monkeys in tuxedos smoking cigars for me.
Okay, now we go back to Wendy Lee. What was the chat room saying about buy or sell?
For the first trailer for Jack Reacher Never Go Back, I'm seeing a lot of buys for this. Deepankar Joshi says Tom Cruise's last 2 movies is on above 90% total confidence on Tom. And Flipside said, buy. This trailer made me really excited for a sequel to a movie that I've never seen. For the Steppenwolf and Mother Box technology in Justice League, the chat is buying this as well. Jacob Hunt says, buy. This will help bring the audience more insight into the Mother Boxes, unlike BVS, where the Mother Box Easter eggs were brushed over. And Galactic God says, if they just explain the Mother Boxes at the beginning, kind of like Lord of the Rings, then I think people will understand it and will be okay with the story. And finally, for the Jim Carrey team up with Eli Roth, seen both buy and sell for this. Some are selling because of Eli Roth, others are buying because of Jim Carrey. Nathan says, that literally sounds like Nightmare on Elm Street. And Jarrett Schmidt says, this sounds like a really interesting role for Jim Carrey, and I think he could do great things with this, so I'll buy it.
Okay, well, thank you guys, and thank you, Wendy. Now it's time for AMC Rewind, brought to you by our friends over at AMC Theaters, and we are talking about the movies that opened 10 years ago or 20 years ago today. Ashley, what opened 10 and 20 years ago today?
10 years ago, there was Click and The Great New Wonderful, and 20 years ago, The Nutty Professor and Striptease.
So funny. I mean, I think the 20 years stand out for obviously 2 different reasons. One is that The Nutty Professor was a movie that people were wondering what it was going to be. Is it going to be all shtick because you just have Eddie Murphy dressing up in all these different costumes again, and he did that in Coming to America very well. So was it going to work? Was he just going to be kind of, again, grasping at straws? And it worked. And it worked because The Nutty Professor, the remake, obviously the Jerry Lewis movie, it worked it was kind of endearing of what he did with that character, the first one anyway. And that's what we're talking about, because it was 20 years ago. And then you have Striptease. Let's call it what it is. It got all the exposure because people are like, Demi Moore's gonna be running around naked in this movie. Oh, and look, that's what happened. The movie it's a bad movie.
Burt Reynolds was in it. He was old then.
Yeah,
and that was 20 years ago.
It's not a good movie, and I remember everybody kind of talking about that because she was getting so much press about it because she just kind of went after it, and it just wasn't a good movie. But then 10 years ago with Click. It was an okay movie.
I like Click.
It's okay. It's certainly compared to the stuff that he's done recently. It's
Oscar worthy.
It's Oscar worthy, yeah. But and I don't even know what the hell the other one is. To be honest.
The Great New Wonderful, which I was looking at the cast, and I'm like, how have I never seen this movie? I like everybody involved in this picture. It looks good. From the poster, I just never heard of it before. Click was one of those movies where I went to go see it in the theater because that was when I still was at the peak of my, I believe Adam Sandler can right this ship and get back to Big Daddy. And with a premise as funny and as outlandish as what Click was, the addition of Christopher Walken, Kate Beckinsale, and I still walked out like, Adam Sandler's got to start changing the direction, and I don't think he has done that in the last 10 years. The one that stands out to me is clearly The Nutty Professor, because Eddie Murphy needed a hit at that time because he had tried Beverly Hills Cop 3 a few years prior and it wasn't working. It seemed like we were getting a little tired of what Eddie Murphy was in the 80s, but with Nutty Professor, it came back in such glorious fashion. And as far as his career goes, it allowed him to segue, for better or for worse, into more family-friendly fare like Dr. Dolittle or The Haunted Mansion, so stuff like that. But that first Nutty Professor movie, I caught it on TV not too long ago. It still holds up 20 years later as
the Dave Chappelle scene.
One of the Dave Chappelle scene has such an emotional impact on me because when he's making fun of how fat Sherman Klump is in the front row and the camera just does this painfully slow pan into Sherman Klump, and when he's trying to smile and ride the wave, and then you see this look on his face where it's just like, as a chubby kid, that really hit home when I was watching that. Then also those 2 dinner scenes when Eddie Murphy is playing everyone,
all the clumps,
that is, you will fall out of your chair laughing to this day. It is that brilliant. So a movie that can make you that emotional and also laugh out loud that much is a work of genius. I am still bitter that Eddie Murphy did not get nominated for an Academy Award for everything he did in that movie.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a very worthy remake of the original Jerry Lewis. It's one of those films that just stands on its own, even though it's a remake. Click for me, it really reminded me of It's a Wonderful Life. It was kind of a really loose remake of that kind of a film, only using that clicking, technology. I liked it though. I remember I went and saw it. It was just a random, let's go see Click, and then we went, and it was like, oh, that was fun. It was nothing like, oh, the movie of the year or anything like that.
It was a good cable watch.
Totally, it was it's very just straightforward, fun comedy film. So the one that also sticks out to me is Striptease. Like, look, just see Showgirls. I mean, Striptease is just a horrible movie.
Well, Showgirls isn't too great.
No, but Showgirls works for all the right reasons. It's a great, bad, good movie.
Yes.
It fluctuates through all those things. Striptease is just a really bad film sold on the premise of seeing Demi Moore's tits.
And she made.
That's what it's sold on.
So much money for that movie too.
But it's a sad.
There's no but.
Sad reflection of Hollywood. Showgirls
it also had like
is
a
what it's
dark
supposed to
comedic
be.
spinner. They were aiming for like a dark comedy with it as well. So there's a
So
lot of
not
humor
funny.
in Striptease. I never saw the whole movie,
It's
but
horrible.
it's
It ends on a boat.
Yeah,
it's like a typical shitty late night, after 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's just one of those. It's a bad.
Would you rather
film.
watch Striptease or talk more about the Power Rangers story?
I'd rather talk more about Power Rangers and Zordon.
All right. Well, now we move on to mailbag. You guys have submitted your questions. We are going to answer them. Ashley, what's up first?
Rob writes, "Hey Collider crew, greetings from Ballyfin County, Laos in Ireland. Just wanted to see you all pronounce Laos.
Laos.
I hate you. Just want to say I'm a huge fan of Movie Talk Heroes, Jedi Council, and the new Nightmares, so huge thanks to Dennis and the crew for the great content. As a huge fan of Westerns, except for Ridiculous Six, of course, I'm hugely excited about The Magnificent Seven, starring Denzel and Chris Pratt. But there's one thing I'm nervous about, Antoine Fuqua. There's something about him I don't like, mostly because he hasn't made a good movie since Training Day. Southpaw was okay. So my first question is, what do you think of Fuqua as the director of this? And secondly, what's your favorite Western film in recent times? Mine is probably Bone Tomahawk or the Coen Brothers' True Grit. Stay awesome."
I'm going to take one of yours. I'm going to take True Grit. And I'm going to also give you The Proposition by John Hillcoat, great Australian Western. I think Dennis is also a big fan of that one, too. It's a great movie. I got a chance to see that a long time ago when I was working for Silver. Like, they had submitted Hillcoat's, this before the movie even came out, and they're like, new director, check this out. And I was blown away by that movie. I haven't checked out Proposition. Please go and see that movie. It's a great, great film. As far as Fuqua, I'm actually a big fan of Fuqua. I like what he's done recently, and I think that he works really well, obviously, with Denzel Washington. I did like Southpaw. I agree with people that say that Southpaw's kind of by the numbers, a little predictable, but I don't know. For that movie, just hit for me. I enjoyed it more than most people. And then The Equalizer he just did, I think. So there's something about him. He can get gritty. He gets good performances out of Denzel, and he's going to be doing that again in this movie. And I want to see what he does in the Western style. I do think he's an underappreciated director. I think he's pretty good. But Schnepp, how do you feel?
Yeah, give him a chance. I think he's done a lot of good films, so I don't have any reservations about him directing The Magnificent Seven. The trailer I saw, it looks like it's going to have a good combination of grit and humor. I mean, they're letting Pratt be Pratt. So, I had the Proposition for sure. 3:10 to Yuma. Most recently, The Revenant. And Hateful Eight was an incredible double feature of Westerns that just happened this previous winter.
Have you come around on The Revenant?
No,
But
I think
Bear. The Bear
I think
was
the Bear
great.
scene. There's like I wouldn't say don't go see The Revenant. I was just disappointed. I like The Hateful Eight a lot more. And finally, Slow West, which also came out last year, which is an incredible, nice Western film. It's a slow film, but definitely worth the wait. So
I don't mind the slow westerns though. Like Appaloosa was a slow western, but I enjoyed the performances in there. Django Unchained is another one that was a really cool western, and I can turn back the clock a little bit further to the mid-90s when we got the all-time great Tombstone, fantastic western. And yes, of course, I can't talk about westerns without dropping some Young Guns 2 knowledge,
Nice.
because I love the lines that were written for Emilio Estevez as Billy the Kid. You who I'll make you famous. Still one of my all-time favorite lines in that soundtrack by Bon Jovi. Pure Western gold. I love Antoine Fuqua as the choice for the new Magnificent Seven. I love what he did in The Equalizer. Obviously, Training Day is great. He is the right guy to be directing this movie. And watch that trailer and tell me you're not excited about this remake.
All right, what's next?
Ty Cairns writes, "Hey guys, I'm really enjoying the Schmodown. Great fight, Harloff. And congrats on the new Collider Nightmares show. I'm not a huge horror guy, but I find it extremely entertaining. With all the talk lately about creating female versions of existing characters, such as the Ghostbusters or James Bond, I'm wondering where to draw the line. For example, I understand how making James Bond a woman could change the entire nature of the character and would be interesting as a spin-off. But what if he were to change nationalities instead of gender? Could we see something like Mark Wahlberg play James Bond with a Boston accent? What if James Bond dressed like a regular guy and ate pizza? My question, what goes too far and what changes are okay for studios to make to established characters? Thanks and keep up the great work."
It's a great question. First of all, as far as I want to talk about Collider Nightmares real quick. You brought that in there. You guys, and you were on yesterday. We are so proud of that show over here. Like this, the way that it's been run, the fans' response. If you haven't, I'm not a horror guy, but I can tell you that this really is a great, insightful show for horror people who want to know a little bit more about it. It's not just for hardcore horror sweaty. So if you haven't checked out Collider Nightmares, please go on over and check that out. Or right after Movie Talk's over, go watch yesterday's episode. As far as your question goes, it's too hard of a question to say, well, here's exactly what's too far, because you don't know where they're going to go with it. Like, one of the examples that I'll give is when they were going to do the gender change with the Ocean's crew and just do a complete reboot with the Ocean crew. For me, it just was unnecessary, and now they're going to go more into the spin-off to where maybe she's playing Danny Ocean's sister. Now, that it might turn out to be horrible, but I think you have more of a chance to do some more original stuff with it because you get a chance to play with those characters a little bit more, and no one's going to compare them to the originals. That's kind of what I wanted them to do with the Ghostbusters, but they obviously didn't go down that route. But I don't know what's too far. I mean, it's funny. It's a funny example as far as Mark Wahlberg talking in the accent. That's not James Bond. You would have an uproar for it, and I think that was the point of the question.
It was Tony Peppers.
Right? Hey, you got a pepper? What do you got over there?
Jimmy Ravioli. What's going
Brooklyn,
on?
Still, that'd be funny.
Hey, I'm James Bond over
give me a
here.
martini.
Hey, give me a
martini. What do you got?
Jimmy Ravioli sounds like the worst Bond villain of all time.
You think his words right, Mark Ellis? Come on over here and tell my cat that. Persian.
Chef Boyardee takes his hat off. It's Tommy
And
gun.
Wahlberg, you like the
Persian
Sox
hat
like the Yankees. Sit
under
down.
hat.
Let's talk about it. But Ellis, what do you think? Is there too much? When is it too much?
You know what? I would see James Bond being played by a woman before I would see James Bond eat a slice of pizza. James Bond does not eat pizza. I love pizza to death. It might be my favorite food of all time. Jimmy Bond does not eat pizza, nor does Jane Bond. Having said all that, the great thing about art is that it's not quantifiable on a spreadsheet where it's like, oh, well, this character's been in existence since this time, so we can't change it. Sometimes you have a new character comes on the scene and they're instantly iconic. Other times you can have characters from decades back and we have the freedom to change it because it works for the story. I give a lot of leeway. I was all for an all-female reboot of the Ghostbusters. I still think it's a fantastic idea. We'll see how the movie is. But I also like the idea of an Ocean's 11, whether it was going to be a remake or a spin-off. I think that's a cool twist. James Bond, however, is something that I feel like it does more of a disservice if you're talking about equality with genders, because now you're just trying to shoehorn a female into a male character that we all know is a male character. You're just asking for trouble, and I don't think that's who James Bond is. I think that you can create a new female super spy that's in a totally different universe that's badass, and you don't have to worry about the comparisons to James Bond. So let James Bond be James Bond. He is one of the very few iconic characters that I don't think should be changed in any dramatic fashion.
First of all, it's Tony Ravioli.
Hey, Tony Ravioli. Tony Ravioli and his friend Joey Peppers.
What are you going to do? Tony Ravioli, Stromboli, come on.
Hey, James Bond could eat a Sicilian slice. Get off.
What are you going to do?
So, you know what? I think a James Bond could be a code name, just like 007 is a code name. You could have a woman portray James Bond in that fashion. You could have Idris Elba play James Bond. Right. You could have, I think it's an open territory type of a thing. What fits better are genres like Doctor Who, where it's like it's a regeneration where they just haven't made the regeneration be a woman Doctor Who yet, a female Doctor Who, which can happen. So I'd much rather see them try things. I'm not afraid to see them try, because when you try things, you ultimately either succeed or you fail, but at least you've tried. So if a franchise is getting stagnant and it's old and it's tired and it needs that refreshment or needs a boost, why not try it? I don't think James Bond needs that yet. I don't think James Bond is screaming out like, get a female James Bond. Like you said, Mark, there can be a female female Secret Service double agent. They can have just come up with a brand new franchise. Then you have James Bond and another character that you can have multiple sequels of. So I don't know. I think it depends on what you're doing.
I think that was the great news about like Tomb Raider or a Tomb Raider remake is that we didn't need to be like, oh, let's do Indiana Jones, but make a female and have her call her, Nebraska Jones or something. Like now we can actually just have her be a globe-trotting person who's looking for artifacts and stuff, but it's a strong female character, and you don't have to worry about the lore of Indiana Jones. The good thing, if you wanted to do Jane Bond, is that when you reinvent James Bond, you don't have to worry about all of the other James Bond movies. So when we get a new guy coming in, whether it's Hiddleston or whoever else is going to be playing James Bond, we don't have to worry about all of the other James Bond movies, and you have to tie into that lore. So it is nice to hit the reset button every so often.
I am kind of warming up to Jimmy Bond with Tony Ravioli as the villain, played by Andrew Dice Clay.
Right, and his cat is Tony Pepper, Joey Peppers.
Hey, Tony Pepper's going to be.
Joey
I'm
Peppers,
Tony
see my
Ravioli. What are you
sister
going to do?
Louie.
Danny
pizza.
DeVito for Joey Peppers?
Joey Pepper. That'd be good. That'd be good. Hey, I'm Tony
Someone
Ravioli.
get on the
Let's
horn
have a
and
little
get Danny
pepper.
DeVito.
Tony
Ravioli.
That's
my Danny DeVito.
We're going to play stickball in the park right afterwards. Come on. All right, what do you got?
Wait a second. Actually, that actually doesn't believe in stickball. We had to explain stickball to her a couple days. What do you mean playing?
I didn't know what
you're
stickball
playing.
is.
Take the ball, you throw it up, you
Yeah,
hit it
with
over
the
the
times,
yard.
You got to be
guys.
hitting it in the
Get with
streets,
the
okay? They don't have
times.
the
You mean
time.
baseball?
There's no
It's
kind of
called
lawns and stuff.
culture.
Hey,
Come on.
not everybody
That's
gets
a
to
Tony
go to
Ravioli
the park
stick
when
in the
you're
trunk.
living in the city. Not everybody has a park around.
My
You know what I'm
ravioli
saying?
is
All right,
Hey.
now it's time for your Twitter questions. Let's get to the Twitter questions. You guys have been submitting stuff at Collider Video, and Tony Peppers over there is going to read some, and we're going to talk about it. What do you got?
A. Clay writes, favorite acting performance from somebody who is not a full-time actor.
I'll give Eminem. Eminem, I think, was really good, and he was good. A couple of things that he popped into, whether it's 8 Mile, and then he was also Funny People, crushed it in that.
Marilyn Manson in Sons of Anarchy. I thought
never
he was
saw
good
it.
in that.
Very good. I will go with recently LeBron James in Trainwreck. Surprised me with how good of an actor he
that's
was.
right. He was good
The
in that.
all-time, when I'm not going to say, even though I really did enjoy him in the first 2 movies, I'm not going to say O.J. Simpson in Naked Gun. I'm going to say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Airplane was such a random out of nowhere, but he is. It's not just funny because it's Kareem. It's funny. He's actually hilarious in that movie.
And Michael Cena also in Trainwreck.
John Cena.
John Cena. Sorry,
Michael Cera's an
Excuse
actor.
me. Yeah.
Very
Not
good.
Michael
Yeah,
Cera.
He was very good.
John
as well.
Cena.
John Cena would consider himself an actor full time.
That's
though.
right. No,
Yeah.
he was great in that.
Yeah. Okay, what's next?
All right. Tony Lorenzo writes, speaking of Jim Carrey, what's your all-time favorite quote from him? Mine is Holy Testicle Tuesday.
Nice. Is that's yours or theirs?
That's what he said.
Okay.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
There's so many.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Truman Show's pretty good.
Oh, right.
First one that leaps into my mind is Alrighty Then.
Yes.
Oh, right. Or
You know what?
smoking.
No,
from
the
Mask.
one is the one I find myself doing. And you must be the Monopoly guy. Like that was everyone cried when that happened. That was a good one.
There's
Hey, you want to hear a really irritating noise?
Oh man, you
from
by,
Dumb and Dumber.
By
most
the way,
annoying sound in the world.
Yeah.
by the way,
So good.
we did this last week
Oh,
for the
God.
reference. Go check. You want to see? We did a review of Dumb and Dumber 2. Mark and I for Schmoes, and this person over here just does that out of nowhere, screams that out, and we were dying laughing for a minute and 20 seconds. And a dog started barking because
I
it was
woke
so
up a dog
loud.
on the other side of the
Check it
apartment
out. The
complex.
Dumb and Dumber
Yeah.
2 review on Schmoes. I guarantee you will get a hardcore laugh out of it.
That is one of my favorite scenes in that Dumb and Dumber, the first movie. Like, just because it is really so annoying, and that they're annoying that guy
You
particularly.
know, a random Jim Carrey quote pops in my head way too often. It's not because of anything that's going on in my personal life, I promise, but it's always in Liar Liar when they say, "Good morning, how's everybody doing?" And Jim Carrey, because he has to tell the truth. And he's like, "I'm a little upset about a bad sexual episode I had last night." Love that line.
All
So
that
funny.
stuff in Liar Liar. There's a couple outbursts.
Oh,
like,
my God,
At the
yeah.
very end of that, though, it wasn't something he said, but it was what his co-star said. Where she was like, "Overactor," and they all like start losing it. It was pretty good. All right, what's next?
I'm only going to ask this because I'm so offended by it. Jack Tripper writes, what's the worst movie ever made? Mine is Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. It's a classic.
Ever made?
Look, I'm going to defend Jack Tripper here because Jack Tripper, as we all know from Three's Company, had to live with 2 females for a long time.
That's right.
They had a lot of crazy hijinks.
Good
So
point.
maybe that's why he didn't like Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion, even though I hear it's a really funny movie. So the worst movie of all time is the question?
Yeah, worst movie ever made.
Caddyshack 2. Easy. Done.
Ooh, nice.
It's a pretty bad one. I still got to bushwhack this up there, man. It's so bad. I know there's a lot of
Nobody knows what you're talking
I know.
about. The movie
Exactly.
with Daniel Stern, where he was a Cub Scout.
so
Like,
bad.
dude, when you say a title Bushwhacked, you got to follow it up with some
It's
stuff.
so bad. I don't want to follow it up with anything.
You left the theater, though.
I did. I don't know. I got to really think about it. There's some really bad movies out there.
It's
hard.
It's hard to like name the worst.
Oh,
movie 'cause
Battlefield Earth is a good one.
Battlefield Earth is, but it's leverage. It's got some really good lines in it that
There's
you could always
something to be
quote.
said for really bad movies where at
Yeah.
least you can laugh at how bad they're. Like Planet of the Dinosaurs is a horrendous movie, but it is a fun watch. Caddyshack 2, Meet the Spartans, those are movies that should be burned and never considered cinema ever
Here we go.
again.
Birdemic. I think that's one
Oh,
of
there
the
you
worst films, and that it got so much play.
I was in that movie.
Were you?
No.
Please don't be in that
Yeah, I
movie.
was in that.
Just the birds alone, the sound design level was like every time those birds would show up, my ears would start bleeding. I'd be like, can someone do something about
Please.
this?
All right, let's do 2 more.
Okay, Luke Aaron writes, what's some advice you would give to a film YouTuber coming to LA for the first time?
A film YouTuber coming to LA. What you mean?
Sure, he either loves talking about film or YouTube or likes making short films and putting them on YouTube.
Or he's a film fanatic who's also on YouTube or watches YouTube.
I'm not sure. what
Any
the
of these
question is.
factors can be considered
All right.
when we
Yeah.
answer the question.
So first thing you want to do when you come to
You gotta
California,
find good pizza. No
Yeah.
good pizza out here.
you want to go to
God.
Joe's
What do you
Pizza
gotta
that's
do?
over on Hollywood.
Joe's
Hey,
is pretty
Joe's
good.
is
It's
pretty
decent. They
good.
got some good stuff. They
got
import the water.
They
That's
make
the
a
thing.
good
No,
Sicilian
guys, I
slice.
think he's asking for
What?
more advice on how to matriculate in his career on YouTube.
What the hell is
Oh.
the Conjure Club guy doing here?
What's he saying? Matriculux? What is
I
a matrix?
mean,
What's he trying to say
I'm
over
sorry,
here?
but I don't know where these guys came
Unbelievable.
Kid, just
from.
do your thing on YouTube.
My
you know?
advice would be to make sure that you get content up on a regular basis. Make sure that you're passionate about what you care about, and try to collab with other people around your level because you can kind of combine fan bases, and that really helps to grow your brand as well as your buddies.
Oh, gosh.
What's next?
All right. Christopher Woodburn. I remember you guys talking about this before we started. So, do you guys think The Shallows could be this generation's Jaws?
No.
Oh, wait a minute. Before these guys saw it yesterday, last night, they saw it.
We're under
So let me
embargo
just
till
say,
tomorrow.
they can't say anything about it, but
okay.
let me say that behind closed doors, man, they said it was the best movie. It beats Jaws. Just kidding. They didn't say that.
What I will tell you, is that, and this doesn't really indicate how much I liked or didn't like the movie, is that after seeing The Shallows last night, Jaws is already my favorite movie that takes place on planet Earth. It makes me appreciate Jaws more for everything that Jaws is able to do. Because if you haven't seen Jaws recently, it's still, I can't believe that movie holds up as well as it does. It could have been made today, and it's just as brilliant as it ever was. And seeing anything that has a shark in it, like Deep Blue Sea or Shallow, whatever it is, open water, makes me appreciate Jaws that much more.
And there's a brand new Blu-ray edition of Jaws that's out. You can check out, color corrected with Spielberg's, checking it out. So definitely
Take my money, please.
It's gonna be very hard because even we can't say yet what we thought of the movie because we're embargoed. But I came back and I was talking to my wife about it, and she's just like, you can't do another shark movie without it's you're gonna try to, because Jaws did it so well. It's really hard. You can continue to try to make them, but they're never gonna have that type of impact that Jaws had. They're just not gonna be able to do it. There was so much more involved to Jaws, and the right things happened when the wrong things were happening. It's magic, and it's just not going to be able to be captured again. Now, another type of, I don't know if it's a creature or whatever it might be, there might be another exciting type of movie to happen that has an impact like Jaws, but it's not going to be with a shark.
But when you say this generation's Jaws, I mean, there's been multiple generations that consider Jaws their Jaws. Like Jaws isn't just like, oh, that was a great 70s movie. Like, it's an all-time great film. So not every generation is going to have a Jaws, Right. Like Jaws, it's like Robin Williams. It's like, you don't get one of those in every generation. You got to wait a long time before you get another Jaws.
All right, last one.
Oh, what? Okay.
The curveball by Hollywood.
Curveball.
Did I
Okay.
say there was one more?
You did, but we'll do it. Okay. Javon Nelson writes, have you guys heard anything about RDJ's Pinocchio movie? And would Ed Skrein make a good Bond?
Ed Skrein.
Ed Skrein.
And good Bond. I think he'd be a good Bond villain, but maybe that's because I'm so fresh off of Deadpool right now. As I haven't heard anything. I know that there was. Who they have?
He was going to play Geppetto.
They had
Robert
Geppetto,
Downey Jr.
and it wasn't it. And who was? And they had someone. who's working on the script? It was
So far along, it was Guillermo del Toro was at one point making a creepy haunted Pinocchio, but that wasn't this one, right?
I'd like to see Pinocchio be a villain in a Bond movie.
Ooh.
Like,
And
Mr. Bond, I have no
screams,
strings to
yes.
hold me down. I
Yeah.
think that'd be kind of cool. But, you know, Pinocchio, it's not as played out, in my opinion, as something like Peter Pan. Like, I wouldn't mind going back to Pinocchio and checking out how a modern day telling of it, seeing Geppetto build this kid from wood, then it freakishly comes to life, which if that ever happens, you should
Run.
really throw in the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's it. Those are the questions today. Wendy, real quick before we get out of here, what were they saying about some of those topics?
Well, for the worst movie ever made, they named The Love Guru, Battlefield Earth, Last Airbender, Catwoman, and House of Sand and Fog, Jack and Jill, and Mall Cop 2.
Damn.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. That's the end of the show. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Sitting over to my left is Jon Schnepp. Where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp. You can find me later today on Collider Heroes. It'll be up around 4 or 5. We got Frosty in there. We're going to get all sweaty about the Justice League. And then you can find me at CatCon LA this Sunday with Holly. We're going to be checking out all the weird cat products and hanging out with all the freakish cat lovers and stuff. Sunday.
Speaking of one of those freakish cat lovers, Matt Ellis, where can I find you?
It's been a pleasure working with you all these years, George. You can find me at Collider Nightmares. I did my first appearance on the show. Hope to come back at some point. I had a great time. It's a great new show here on Collider Video, on YouTube, and all that good stuff. You can find us, Schmoes Know, and on Twitter, simply at Mark Ellis Live. Jack and Jill was indeed one of the worst movies ever made.
And you can find her at this weekend's Vegas Stickball Tournament. It is Ashley Mova. Where can they find you?
There and on Twitter and on Instagram at Ashley Mova. Happy Wednesday, guys.
For me, you can find me at Kristian Harloff, Twitter and Instagram at Kristian Harloff, as well as the Jedi Council show. It is Thursday. We're going to be talking about all this Rogue One stuff. If you haven't checked all that stuff out, do it. And we are also doing the Schmodown. That happens on Friday. You got Sam Levine going up against Jeff Snyder. The winner will play Clark Wolf. Gonna be a good battle. Make sure you check that out. Go to the playlist. Watch all of our shows. We got a ton of them. Comment, do all that stuff, tweet in, send your mail. We are wanting to hear from you guys. Thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.